So hi all, welcome to Security and Privacy in Cloud. And today we are going to discuss about the Unit 3, that is access control and identity management. The topic is that multi-factor authentication and single sign-on. So let's see one by one. So the first one is that multi-factor authentication. So here, multi-factor authentication protects the applications by using a second source of validation before granting access to the users. Common example is that like personal devices such as phone or token or geographic or network locations. And here if you take as organizations, it will be digitizing operations or taking greater reliability for storing customer data. The risk and need for security increase because attackers have long exploited user login data to gain entry to critical systems. Verifying user identity has become essential. So MFA, what is that multi-factor authentication? It enables organizations to verify the identities of users before they can gain entry to critical systems. So this is the overall diagram you could able to see here. So how does this diagram work in the sense? So here there will be some guest user and there will be some company again. And here on-premises as well as cloud apps will be there. Like on-premises in the sense like based on the Microsoft Intra ID or multi-factor authentication. And here the multi-factor authentication requires by means of some verification that any unauthorized users won't have the access. Since passwords are insufficient for varying identity, so MFA requires multiple pieces of evidence to verify the identity. So here the most common variant of multi-factor authentication is the two-factor authentication. And here by means of these two from the same category, which does not fulfill the objective of MFA, a password and a temporary, a passcode will be qualifying because the passcode is a possession factor, verifying the ownership of a specific email account or a mobile device. So this is the overall diagram of this MFA. And why this multi-factor authentication is needed in the sense, like before I was explaining, right? Because the attackers have long exploited user login data to gain entry to some critical systems. Verifying user identity has become essential, right? So that is the case here also. Okay. So here the authentication will be based on some username and password alone, and it is unreliable and one widely. Since users may have some trouble storing, remembering, or managing them across the multiple accounts, and many reuse the passwords across the services and create passwords, which lacks the complexity, right? So in order to overcome these kind of things, we are going for this multi-factor authentication. And some common examples of multi-factor authentication is that here, like cloud-based authenticator apps such as Duo are engineered to provide a smooth login experience with the MFA. They are designed to integrate seamlessly within the security stack. With Duo, you can verify your user identity in second and protect any application on any device from anywhere. And you can add some multi-factor authentication to any network environment. Okay, so this is all about the multi-factor authentication and why it is needed. And how does the multi-factor authentication work, right? So this is a common criteria because MFA requires means of verification that unauthorized users won't have. Since passwords are insufficient for verifying identity or MFA to require some multiple pieces of evidence to verify the identity. So here we'll be going some despite any kind of like password security question combination, both factors are from the knowledge category and don't qualify as MFA. And then a password and temporary passcode qualify because the passcode is a possession factor. Verifying ownership of a specific email account or some mobile device. Okay, so that is why we'll be going for these kind of multi-factor authentication. And this is the steps to be followed in order to work with these things. And next is that we are before going to the benefits of MFA, suppose how do organizations start with using MFA? See, like many OS or service providers or account-based platforms have incorporated like MFA into the security settings for like single users or some small businesses. By using MFA, it's as simple as going to settings for the operating system, web platform, and service providers, and enabling the features, right? So larger organizations with their own network portal and complex user management challenges may need to use some authentication app like Dio, which adds an extra authentication step during login. And one thing I would like to say is that I would like to add a point to this is that uh, like what does this mean by adaptive authentication? You have seen about multi-factor authentication. What does it mean by adaptive authentication? So here the authentication rules continuously adjust based on the following variables by user or group of users defined by the role, responsibility, or the department. By authentication method, for example, to authenticate the users via push notification, but not the SMS. Okay. And also by use of using some kind of application to enforce more secure MFA methods such as like push notification or what is that universal second factor or for high risk applications you have to go for some more services right not access such things and by geographic location to restrict access to company resources based on some users physical location to set some conditional policies restricting the use of certain authentication methods in some locations but not others. And by means of network information, to use the network includes IP information on authentication factor to block the authentication attempts from anonymous networks like Tor or proxies or some VPN. Okay. So these are all is known as adaptive authentication. And what are the benefits of multi-factor authentication is that first one, improved trust, and second one, reduced cost, and third one, easier login. So first one is that improved trust. So here the cost of hacking and phishing attack can be high because MFA helps secure systems against unauthorized users and the associated threats. The organization is more secure overall. If the organizations are hesitant to ask users to comply with the tighter security, they should consider that users themselves, especially customers, may appreciate the extra security for their data. When customers trust a vendor's security protection, or they are more likely to trust the organization overall, which means MFA becomes an important competitive advantage. And second one is that reduced cost. So here the successful defenses against attack can provide a return on investment that covers the expense of an MFA solution, for example, preventing a costly and damaging attack on network resources. Even without preventing attacks, MFA can save organizations money by allowing IT departments to deploy the resources to protect other parts of the networks from the different threats. Okay. Next one is that easier login. Like what is in the easier login is that as multi-factor authentication technology advances making greater use of massive methods like biometrics and software tokens, it becomes more user-friendly. Easy to use MFA process helps user login more quickly, so workers can be more productive. In e-commerce, login problems can mean a loss to sales, and user-friendly MFA process that improve the user experience that can help customers to log in and therefore purchase the products. So this is the benefits of multi-factor authentication. And next we are going to discuss about the single sign-on. Before that, I'll just say something about the MFA methods. So what are the MFA methods available? Like knowledge, physical, inherent, location based and time based one time password, social media, much more. Okay. So before going to single sign-on, here in single sign-on also we have an identification system that allows the users to access the applications and websites, and also with one set of login credentials. Okay, and the implementation of SSO is the enterprise helps easy password management and improve the security as workers access applications that are on-premise as well as in the cloud. And how does SSO work when a user wants to access an application, right? The token first, that is the SSO token, which checks with the SSO service, which passes the authentication token to the app. The token is valid in the sense the user is allowed to access the app. The user has not yet signed in, they are prompted to do so through the SSO service, like website A or website B or website C. Okay, and many SSO services, what they'll be doing is that they'll be verifying the user credentials. Okay, and then uh, again some separate identity management system or identity provider. The SSO service acts as an intermediary between the user and the IDP. It checks the user's login credentials against IDP database, but it does not manage the database itself. Okay, and the ability to cause an authentication token to external apps and services is critical to the SSO process. So this allows identity verification to take place separately from other cloud services, making the SSO possible. The most common standards are secure authentication markup language. Okay, like we used to call as SAM, SAML 2.0, and OpenID Connect OAuth 2.0. These standards are like common languages which is used for the authentication tokens. So next topic is that methods of SSO. So here there are two ways, like on-premise SSO and then cloud-based SSO. So what is meant by on-premise SSO is that traditional on-premise SSO solutions require the provisioning, configuration, and upkeep of physical servers or virtual machines. And then cloud-based SSO is that these are software as a service and fully hosted by the vendor. The customer doesn't have to install, manage, or maintain any type of hardware. With both types of SSO solutions, users can access multiple cloud applications with a single username and password, or they have the option of using no password at all. Okay, so that is meant by cloud-based SSO. The next topic is that uh, what are the roles or does two-factor authentication play in SSO security? And like, why we are calling this as an SSO security in the sense, like SSO can be secure. So depending on how much SSO solution is implemented and the IAM strategy defined by business stakeholders, such as the Chief Information Security Officer or the Director of Information Security, should clearly map out user or user group roles and permission for each application. Certain users should have higher privileged access to certain applications. It is important to apply a more stringent security policies as part of the SSO implementation. So this can include enforcing access based on location, device use, device health or posture, and much more. Okay. Adapting an SSO solution, the granular per application policies that integrates with strong multi-factor authentication, which can help in reducing the risk of credential compromise, detailed logging, and reporting of authentication, and devices and users which can help provide insights for improving the security. While there is no perfect security solution like risk-based authentication for MFA, it can also better provide some secure SSO for organizations. So this adaptive approach assesses potential risk authentication and escalates the authentication measures when necessary for the user requesting access. So what does it mean is that if I want to work on some security aspects, like when implementing your SSO or giving your users easy access to work applications, a critical part of helping to ensure the integrity of the single sign-on process is the ability to verify the identities with the two-factor authentication, and also known as multi-factor authentication. Here, the security experts recommend implementing SSO with the 2FA also. And what is the main advantage of for using these kind of stuff is that in today's hybrid workspace environment, SSO can help to improve the workers' productivity, especially when they need to access applications that are either on-premise or in the cloud. Password fatigue and errors are reduced as workers traverse multiple applications. And companies like which have implemented SSO experience fewer help desk or requests for password reset and other account issues. SSO can eliminate unproductive tasks while delivering cost savings. Implementation of SSO along with the 2FA can help organizations improve security and compliance. According to Verizon, what they did is that more than 80% of the attacks are based on only web applications. If they stole some credential or something like that. And they enforce 2FA, like two-factor authentication for the users accessing applications using the SSO, which can help the companies to adhere to the regulatory compliance requirements such as the payment card industry, a data security standard, which we call as a PCI DSS, and the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. So, what role does two-factor authentication play here? Before that, I'll just say the diagram. So this is without single sign-on method, which plays a crucial role. And also there may be so many of malpractices to be happening, like threatening, and all kind of stuff will be happening backside. So that is without single sign-on. And with single sign-on method, so all the users of the providers who are going to access your system or whatever thing, your organization, right? So they can able to access only by means of some single password, like single sign-in method, which is followed over the all the particular organization. So that is meant by with single sign-on. Okay. So what features is needed for SSO provider? It must have is then. So first one, a security. Second one, ease of use. Third one, integration. Fourth one, support. And last one is that scalability. So what is meant by security? So security in optimal SSO solution, it offers a variety of security features like MFA or risk-based authentication and verified push to fortify the login. It should enable the admins to set and enforce access policy by user groups, geographical locations, and device security posture. And these features are vital for ensuring that only authorized users can access the applications and data. What is in the ease of use is that, so here for SSO to be effective, it should offer a frictionless experience for administrators and end users like including employees, partners, and contractors. The deployment must be quick, management and straightforward, and daily operations is seamlessly to boost productivity and drive down help desk cost. Okay, and next is that integration. So here in integration, the SSO solution should be able to integrate with your existing infrastructure and applications, including those that are cloud-based and on-premises and web and client-based. It should accommodate various identity providers like Microsoft, Okta, and Ping without requiring a system overall. For smooth and secure integration support for common protocols like OpenID, Connect, this adaptability helps to ensure that as new applications are onboarded, as your infrastructure evolves and your SSO solution remains compatible, which is effective, right? And next is that support. So here, the quality support from a single sign-on provider is invaluable for a successful rollout and for troubleshooting any issues that may arise, right? So you should expect access to a knowledgeable and responsive support team that can guide you through some setup and address problems effectively. Last but not least is that scalability. So your SSO software, it should be able to scale up meet the needs of your organization as it grows without impeding performance or user experience. And you have to select an SSO solutions that offers high availability and up tune some strong service level agreements and ability to scale quickly for the enterprise rollout. And the IAM, the SSO security reduces the reliance on passwords and help with transition to passwordless authentication for use cases that permit it. And the SSO solution should keep pace as new cyber threats emerge and advisory tactics to evolve. When migrating applications to SSO, we have to expect to see the continuous improvement in support and capabilities. Okay, what are the how do you implement SSOs? That first you have to start with a pilot group. Say for testing some solutions, right? We have to identify potential problems before rolling it out to all the users. And then based on that, we have to communicate to that particular user about the SSO implementation and let them know what they expect. So be sure to prepare for support for the users who may have some difficulties, using SSO. And additional tips, like I can say for implementing SSO, you have to plan your SSO rollout strategy such that we can follow some best practices, and regularly we have to update your SSO solution with the latest security patches, and you have to train your users how to use SSO, and you have to give some best practices. Okay, so this is what. And then like we have so many kind of what is the best access management strategy in case of SSO is that in SSO authentication, it is a core element of best access management strategy. We all know, right? So here it helps organizations to improve the security and the ease for the users by reducing the need for multiple passwords. So this can help reduce the password fatigue or improve the password security and lower the risk of password related threats. Okay, and here this single sign-on, it also helps protect applications from some unauthorized access or authenticating the users exclusively through some trusted central identity provider establishes a unified security checkpoint that effectively lowers the risk of unauthorized access and streamlines the user management. Okay, and next is slide is there. Uh, we will discuss about what is the difference between single sign-on as well as multi-factor authentication. So in single sign-on, we can able to access multiple applications with one login install. But here, not if you want to access one or more applications, we have to use some two or different authentication, maybe of 2FA or MFA or something like that. And in single sign-on, users only need to remember one set of login credentials, but in multi-factor authentication, it requires users to provide additional forms of ID. Okay, and then here it reduces the password fatigue. In multi-factor authentication, it reduces the password complexity, and here in single sign-on, it simplifies the password authentication, and here multi-factor authentication, it enhances the security purpose. So if you are comparing both the what is that single sign-on as well as multi-factor authentication, I would recommend single sign-on is best, right? Because the file solution which offers a strong security and is usable by all the employees, including partners and contractors, and which is available in different regions and supports a variety of maps, like including cloud and on-premises, web and client-based apps, and supports common protocols such as security, accession markup language, and open ID command. That is, we used to call as an OIDC. And second, like identity and access management platform. An SSO solution should ideally be integrated with an advanced 2FA solution. Like you can think of some SSO and 2FA, right? So where you'll be using some of these kind of stuff in order to overcome such things. We have to use some granular condition access policy, and next is that we have to choose a solution that is easy to deploy and easy to manage and administer, and helps your users stay productive by getting up and running quickly without sacrificing or security. And next, to select a SSO that offers some high availability and uptime with strong SLE, and the ability to scale quickly for the enterprise rollout. And next one is that like because SSO solution which requires planning and support, which tries to ensure security investments and human resources and are devoted to the solutions which stay relevant for years to come. Always think about the long-term goal, rather than going for MFA. If you're going for SSO, it reduces the reliance on passwords and help with the transition to passwordless authentication for use cases that permit with an eventual goal of moving to desktop SSO. And SSO solution should also keep pace as a new cyber threats emerge and at some adversary statistics. Okay. So when migrating applications to SSO, you should see continuous improvement in support and capabilities. Okay, so that is why I will say that you have to recommend single sign-on, and like there are advantages when compared to SSO also. Like here we can able to adapt some multi-factor authentication also. There is some uh, benefits. Like as I told before, there are so many methods available, like acknowledge method, physical, inherent, location based and time based, OTP, social media, risk based authentication. Okay, so what is meant by knowledge is that it is the most commonly used tool in a MFA solution. However, despite the simplicity, passwords, so which have become a security problem and slow down the productivity, and user tools to have many passwords to ease their management or to create some passwords which are not secure, or they are used to some repeatedly across platform. And another drawback of using this knowledge method is that it can forget or store somewhere and can be stolen. So that is why we are discarding multi-factor authentication. And next one is that physical. So physical factor is also called as possession factors, which uses tokens such as USB dongle or a portable device that generate a temporary QR code. Mobile phones are commonly used as they have the advantage of being readily available in most situations. And next, the UTF standard combines USB or near field communication like NFC. And this category, next one is that inherent. So here it includes like biometrics like a fingerprint, face, and retina scans. As technology advances, it may also include like voice ID and other behavior inputs like keystroke metrics, because inherent factors are reliably unique. Okay, when compared to others. And location based and time based is that authentication system can use some GPS coordinators, network parameters, and metadata for the network in use, and device recognition for the MFA. And adaptive authentication combines these data points with historical or contextual user data. So these factors which have the advantage of operating in the background, which helps to reduce the input required for the users. And time-based one-time password, we all know, right? Two-factor authentication can apply to MFA. So the wait for a single step in which the temporary passcodes are sent by SMS or email is usually brief. And the security key is generally a QR code that the user scans with the mobile device to generate a series of numbers. The user then enters these kind of numbers into a website or an application to gain access. So the password, once it expires at a certain period of time, and the new one will be generated on next time a user logs into the account. And the last but not least is that risk-based authentication in multi-factor authentication. So here, sometimes it's called as adaptive multi-factor, things we have discussed. So here, it combines adaptive authentication algorithm, which calculates the risk and observes the context of a specific login request, and push-based 2FA. So that is also improves on SMS or top-to 2FA by adding some additional layers of security, while improving some ease of use, and it confirms the user's identity with multi-factor authentication that other methods cannot, because push-based two-factor authentication, which sends notifications from data networks like cellular or Wi-Fi, it has some data access on the mobile devices, right, to use the 2FA functionality. Okay, so this is all about the difference between single sign-on and then the multi-factor authentication. So what we have discussed is that what are the mean by multi-factor authentication and what is meant by single sign-on methods. And in multi-factor authentication, we have discussed about how it is working and why it is needed, and it is why it's so much complicated when compared to single sign-on, and how does the organization balance such a difference between them. And we have seen about the benefits, and in single sign-on also we have seen them with single sign-on as well as without single sign-on, and how far what are the methods of SSO, and then what is meant by SSO token, okay, which replaces all kind of services which provides across the data, and what are the benefits of SSO, and whether it is secure or not when compared to the multi-factor authentication, and what is the role of two-factor authentication in SSO security, and whether it is the best way of access management strategy in case of SSO, and what are the features an SSO provider should provide, and whether how to choose the right SSO solution. So all those kind of stuff we have seen in this video. We hope we'll see in the next video. Thank you all.